Hello, hello, beautiful people. Today I am making some Johnny cake for the first time. I just came back with my husband from the Bahamas. This is something that we had, of course. We had Johnny cake with stew fish. We had Johnny cake with boiled fish. So since this is something that I know he likes, I'm going to try my hand at it, and I am definitely going to perfect this and make sure that I get it right, that he likes it. So the ingredients are pretty simple. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just 8 ingredients to be honest with you. And what I am going to do is I'm going to start with a half a cup of butter and oil so that I can go ahead and use my my measuring cup for other things as well. All right, so what I am going to do is I'm going to be using a half a cup of butter and vegetable oil mixed together. All right, so you can use this in whatever measurements you want, but I'm using way more butter. And what I'm going to do is just add a bit in there so that I get a half a cup, but I have a lot of butter and maybe just like 1/4 of oil. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just pour in this half a cup of butter and oil mixture here, and I am going to sift and add in my flour. So I am going to be using 3 cups of flour. Okay, so I'm going to, this holds 2 cups, I'm going to go ahead and put in my 2 cups. Go ahead and put that in my strainer and sift it in. And then I'm going to add in a 3rd cup. So I'm going to add in 1 more cup of flour. Now the recipe that I saw online was double this amount of ingredients that I'm using, and it's just the 2 of us that are going to be eating this, and I don't want to make too much because we're trying to stay away from the bread. But so I'm just halving everything of the recipe that I saw online. I'm halving it all. All right, so now what I'm going to do is add in a half a cup of this brown sugar. I'm sure it calls for white sugar, but I'm not a fan of white sugar, so I'm just going to add in about 1/3 cup of brown sugar here. Okay, and I am going to sift this as well. And as I'm doing this, I have the oven preheated to 350. As you can see the little lumps and clumps in there, you can just mash them out. All right. I'm going to add in a teaspoon of salt. And 3 tablespoons of baking powder. Okay. Now I'm going to add in 2 eggs. Now lastly, I am going to add in 1 cup of milk, and here I am using almond milk. Okay. One cup of milk, half a cup of water. don't feel like plugging in my mixer. So here I go. I'm just going to give this at least 50 good strokes and try to get some of the lumps out if I can, or most of the lumps out if I can. This has a really nice smooth texture. I see some people add cornmeal, but and when you taste Johnny cake, you would think it has cornmeal in it, but the recipes that I'm seeing for the Caribbean or the Bahamian Johnny cakes, they haven't had cornmeal in it, and the ones that we had when we were in Bahamas did not have cornmeal. However, I do see that some people add cornmeal, but I am not in this case because we didn't have it. So that has a really nice texture, and it's just like a pancake batter. And I do see that people do cook it in the form of pancake, but we didn't have it that way, and it's going to taste better like if you just bake it like a cake or cornbread, because that's what we're used to. And I don't want to make it like a pancake because I don't think it would warm again like it would if it's in like a pan baked method. So right now I'm just going to get out my pan, and what I'm going to do is you're going to see me butter my pan. So what I'm going to do is get some hand towels, and I'm going to dry out the water in my pan first, okay? And then I'm going to get a clean, fresh paper towel, and I am going to just get out a good bit of butter, and I am going to oil my pan. Get down in those corners, around the edges, up high. Now I am just going to pour in our Johnny cake batter. I'm surprised how smooth this mix came out, being that I did not use a mixer. Our oven is already preheated. I'm just going to stick this in the oven on 350 for 30 minutes. While I'm at it, I may as well just show you all my other experiment. This is my first time making boiled fish. I'm just assuming. I literally did not look at any recipe for boiled fish, y'all. I am doing this from the top of my head, okay? But what I do know that's in there is onions. So I am going to saute me a whole medium onion. And they did have it in like little slivers, or like julienne cut onions, and they were like more in circular form, but I'm just going to do these in like little slivers. Get these. They weren't really golden brown, to be honest with you. I think they just boiled everything, so I'm not going to really get these too brown, because I wanted to mimic as closely as possible to the boiled fish we had. The fish that I'm starting with is frozen because I just bought it. I just got home, so I'm just going to stick it in there, and it's going to cook through anyway, so it'll be fine. So this is the grouper that I got from Publix. It is a wild caught grouper. It's only actually I think there's 3 pieces in there. Turn this down. Get these in there. I am going to put a capful of vinegar, because in the Bahamas they did have like this vinegar sauce, and it had like crushed pepper in it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the base here. Now what I'm using for my liquid for the boiled fish, and y'all don't make fun of me, this is my first time and I am not following a recipe whatsoever, so it's going to be what's going to be. It didn't look like it was a hard recipe, just boiled fish, to be honest with you, with some seasonings. So I'm going to use some of this vegetable broth, and I have this on medium heat. So this is a cup of vegetable broth, and I'm also going to add a bottle of some spring water there. I'm going to add a splash of turmeric for color. This is my addition, nothing that they said at all. I'm going to add in some red pepper for some color, some more color as well. My addition once more for color. And you can add some parsley or some chives or whatnot, but I'm not gonna do a whole lot of extra stuff right now because this is my first time doing this. I'm just gonna let this come to a boil. I am gonna add in some salt. And just cover this. This is how we're coming along. I'm going to turn this over. I'm just going to give this side some color as well. I want to see if it's doing what I want it to do, and it is. So just needs to cook through for probably another 30 minutes or so, and it'll be good to go. And I don't want to put the onions on it and ladle the onions in broth over it yet because I don't want to wash off the color. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover that back up for 30 minutes. I'm going to turn it down a bit so all of our water doesn't evaporate. This is our Johnny cake so far. It has about 12 more minutes to go. The cake's been in the oven for 27 minutes and I think it's coming along really well. Okay, that looks good. Nice and clean. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take some butter and I'm going to get a napkin again. Or actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get this so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some butter here so that we can get some color on the top of our Johnny cake. So I'm just going to spread that on there. I'm going to stick this back in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes, or I'm probably just going to let it sit in there until we're ready for it. Let that get nice and brown on the top. So I just turned my Johnny cake on broil for about 2 minutes and it looks perfect. I'm just going to take it out now. And all together it was in there exactly 30 minutes. Right now, I am making our plates. I have cut the Johnny cake and placed it on both plates. Now I am putting our vegetables of corn and string beans on. And now I am going to place our boiled fish in our bowls. The boiled fish was exactly what I showed you, it wasn't anything more or less. It was just me putting it in a pan, seasoning it, letting it boil for about 30 minutes or so, and it was done. It was an extremely easy recipe. I apologize for not showing you it just boiling, but there wasn't really anything else to show. Topping it off with some extra butter to make it extra delicious. I want to thank you all for watching me make Johnny Cake and Stew Fish for the very first time. It turned out very well, and I hope that it was helpful to you and your family. Be blessed in every way.